Hello, podcast listeners. Thank you for joining our new show, Changepreneurs podcast. I'm really excited today to introduce this podcast to you all. When I started out like 3 years ago, I started the title with "Think Better, Live Better." Then, for some reason, I changed it to "One in a Billion," thinking that I should be able to reach 1 billion people in the world. Now, practically speaking, it looks like I won't be able to reach 1 billion people just by myself. So I started out an interesting project a couple of months back. I went on to LinkedIn and posted I was hiring a co host for my show to add more people. And now here I am sitting with three other podcast co hosts. And also, I have hired 11 people more. So 12 of us started this movement in podcasting, and we are trying to venture into something very new here. So why this name, Changepreneurs? See, the world is more divided than ever before. An attempt through this podcast is to unite people and also question status quo and challenge conventional thinking to get into new mindsets. There are so many things that we need to change, including the happiness levels of people, the levels of anxiety that people face on a daily basis, and we are divided through religion, culture, race, and so many other factors. So this is a genuine attempt to bring unity and also change the world one person at a time. I'm deeply excited to introduce our anchor for the show today, Sunil Sathyendra. Uh,
Hello.
And also, I have with me Bianca Smith from US. She's joining us from US. And we have, thank you, Bianca. And we have Pushkar from Pune. So
Hello.
over to you, Sunil.
Yes. So I was thinking of the responsibility that I have, that I have to start off with a big bang and also start with something very interesting. So one of the things that came to me was actually a very famous line from the Kung Fu Panda series, that the secret ingredient is you. So we have that with 12 of us here, starting off with all the secrets and all the ingredients that we bring. And the Changepreneurs podcast is one of the spaces to reach out to a larger audience, make more people believe in themselves, look at themselves differently, obviously look at the ways that they are living and they want to live in this place. So it's a beautiful journey for all of us. And thanks to Sathish and thanks to everybody who said yes to a passion project. And sometimes all we have to do is ask, and the universe shall bring us what we want. So that's the context with which I take over as the anchor for this particular podcast episode. And it's always a joy to have people from multiple geographies. We have Bianca looking bright and sunny, like it is in the US. We have Pushkar. We have also Sathish from Vellore. So I'm from Bangalore, so it's a international podcast, alongside also being nationally very interesting, even with India as this thing. So as coaches, we love to ask questions. I think today's podcast is also going to be about questions, answers, and everything else that is going to be a part of it. The other interesting aspect is we haven't rehearsed our questions. It's going to be our true, full, authentic selves. And we invite that from all three of you as well,
Yep.
Satish, Bianca, and Pushkar, to share whatever comes to you and be open in sharing this. And also, just a quick disclaimer that all of us are representing our individual thought processes in this particular process. And we do not want to hurt anybody's sentiments and emotions at this point of time. And with that setting done, I think the first question, I don't know who wants to take this. Maybe everybody takes it in the way they want to look at it. Because Satish, you brought us all together. Maybe I want to put it back to you.
Sure.
So, what got you here? I'll just leave it with that particular three words. The magic with threes. So, what got you here is maybe where we start.
Yeah. When you just say that statement, I am remembering the book "What Got You Here Won't Get You There." So the very interesting question. Thanks, Sunil. If I look at my life journey in the past 40 years, I've been to many places. I worked in various corporations. I went to different school, and I've met hundreds of thousands of people over my lifetime. And what got me here, honestly, when about 4 or 5 years back, I was having this day job and I was stuck and I didn't know what to do. And I was looking out for avenues where I could pull myself out of and, start getting to this journey of personal development and helping other people, philanthropy, in a way of contributing to society so that you get to live a meaningful life for yourself. So it's my mentor, who is presently 86 years old, who pushed me onto this podcasting journey. 3 years back, I started out with a simple mic and simple iPhone to record a podcast. Just a 2-minute podcast I did, and I posted it online. And I did the next one and the next one, and I did about 70 episodes so far. And what got me here is the change that we all want to see in the world. If you walk down the street, you see people unhappy, anxious, thinking about something else, thinking about the past, thinking about the future, not living in the present. There are so many things that you see in the world that you need to change, but you cannot change the external world. You can only change yourself. So I'm just looking at what I can do as a person to be there as an authentic self, to show up in the world. So we all have to be little more kind. We all have to be little more empathetic to people and their situations. And as coaches, we know how to be non-judgmental as well. Though we just say it in words, it's very difficult to practice. So whatever little thing I can change from my side, maybe if I'm just walking to the corner grocery store, I'm just being very kind to the waiter there. And if I go to a movie theater, and if I'm standing in a queue and I don't get impatient, and I just wait my turn, and I try to show up as a good human being to society, so that somebody else picks up. It's contagious, right? The way you behave and way you show up to the world. So what got me here is the deep down desire to help one other human being to live a better quality life. We all coaches, we are 12 of us. We have kind of figured out a good quality living, but then there are many people who need help. So through this podcast, I want to offer help to people who are stuck, and this is free form content. We are not charging anything. So this is world class content coming to you free of cost, and you get to hear from some experts. You get to hear from the coaches. You can take notes, and you can improve the quality of your life. And that's the intention of this podcast.
Wow. So, a lot of things that I heard. So, I'm taking over as the coach, so also doing a little bit of paraphrasing for you. So, a lot. I love the idea of being kinder to people that you meet on a daily basis, and also that you have an 85-year-old mentor. So I'll come back to that, but maybe I'll just check in with Pushkar and Bianca. So, what's your take on what got you here? You can take it however you want to take it.
All right. So thanks, Sunil, for that question. And Sathish, a very interesting story. And I agree with Sunil. I would like to speak more about the mentor that you have spoken about. So when Sunil, when you asked me what got me here, I was wondering where is here? Where am I exactly? And with the conversation with Satish, I realized here is about what am I doing here today and as a coach, or what am I doing as. So interestingly, in my 26 years of working for corporates, right, I used to lead large operations teams, and there was a lot of involvement with people. And during that time, I did a lot of I don't know what you call it. What do we called it back then? I think it was coaching or mentoring or guiding or giving gyan, maybe. I don't know. But I did a lot of that, and I used to enjoy it. I used to enjoy the connect with people. And from what people told me, they used to really value my conversations, and they used to keep coming back for more. So that was something that's always been my how do I put it? I derive energy from people, right? So that's always been a constant with me. Last year, I decided to part ways with my organization and said I need to do something on my own. So obviously, as soon as I did that, I was pretty confused at that time. And what do I do next? So I started doing what I knew the best, which is consulting in the area of the domain that I was associated with. But soon I realized that no, I need to do something which is more fulfilling, which is more aligned to what I would want to possibly end up. I was thinking typical corporate mentality, right? Post 60, I'm going to retire. So I need to find something which I'll enjoy doing even then. And then it kind of got back to me about those days, the coaching, guiding, mentoring, those days. And I said, let's look at this. And yeah, so I started my journey in May, and I was totally dedicated to it in terms of being a coach, getting coached continuously through this journey. And yes, and when I heard about this opportunity from Sathish that we need to do something for the coaching fraternity and also spread the word and reach the maximum people that are there out there, I said yes, I do want to be part of this, and I was really excited. So yeah, so if that's what you meant by here, and so yeah, this is why I'm here, and this is what got me here.
I also added the disclaimer saying, here is whatever you take it. So,
Okay.
yeah, all answers are right. So, as we say in coaching. So,
Correct.
very interesting to have, that such a long experience looking at your own strengths, saying, and this is what I love to do. I love to do consulting. Retire at 60. So, I have a plan of retiring at 40. So, not yet 40. So, that's also my age. So, uh, lesser than 40 as of now.
And you would have
So,
noticed I didn't disclose my age when I said retire at 60. So you don't know how old I am. So let's leave it at that.
yes. So, Bianca, I will not ask how old are you, but I'll ask you what got you here.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We'll leave it to the mystery. But with regards to what got me here, I think what I want to share today is that I have gone down many different avenues in my life, and all of them led me to a pretty big realization recently that everyone around me was very stressed out. Whether it was family experiences growing up as a child, being in the dance studio. I've been a dancer and a choreographer my whole life, basically. I had a professional career in the arts for about 8 years. And there were a lot of very stressed out people trying to make it in that industry. And then I moved into teaching yoga and having the opportunity to meet with a lot of people who desired an opportunity to connect to their bodies in a way that would hopefully make them feel better. And all of these things, plus a bunch of other little things dotted in between, random things, like I had a job selling knives once when I was in high school. It was just so random. It was so random, but all of these things really did lead me to the pretty big realization that many folks are stressed out, and the belief that I'm totally willing for this to be proven wrong someday, but the belief for me is that a big contributing factor to that is because people are disconnected from their bodies. So many of us don't have the time or make the time to move, to connect, to pause and feel the sensations that we're feeling, to notice our breath, and to do the things that help to keep the feedback loop open and the lines of communication open that let us know how we're actually feeling and what we're actually experiencing. So I am very passionate about sharing these reminders that I think they're not necessarily novel. I don't think I'm necessarily creating anything new here, but I feel the calling on my heart to remind people of these simple, brilliant blessings that we've been given. The gift of being able to move our bodies in whatever way we have the capacity to do, the breath that fills our lungs, the sunlight that we get to see every day, and small things that we can do to reconnect with ourselves so that we can improve the quality of our lives. I really truly believe that it's possible to improve the quality of your life without having to change your circumstances or solve all your problems first. I really think you can start to feel better now, no matter what you're going through. And that is a really big passion of mine, because I've been in some situations that there was just not much I could do about it, except, as Sathish said, like, I could think about myself. How could I support myself in this situation? How could I approach it differently? How can I make myself feel better? And I set out on a mission to do that. And I've been doing that since I was 17 years old. And now I think it's just led me here to being able to support other people to do that, because I know in my own way, I know what it feels like to walk so deeply through a place of suffering and feeling like you just are not comfortable in your body, in your life, in your situation. And I also know now what it feels like to be okay and to feel okay no matter what's going on. So when I had the opportunity to speak with Sathish, I thought it would be wonderful not only to connect with all you amazing people from a completely different part of the world than me and get to learn more about what life is like for you and what experiences you've had, but also to contribute my current feelings about what I feel that is possible for us with simple things that we can do to support ourselves. So thank you for having me. I think that's all I'll say for now. And thank you for asking.
Wow. So a
Sunil,
lot of very interesting spaces. Yeah. Pushkar, go ahead. Yeah.
if I can just jump in, I'm so glad I didn't know Bianca when she was 17 selling knives. That would have been quite troublesome for me.
And that's I think something very among all the things that have been shared, that is the most interesting aspect for me. So
Absolutely.
I will zone in on that, Bianca, at some point in time. Yeah, but yoga, and I think also what I loved is paying tribute to our feelings that I'm feeling right now. That's a fantastic way, and the poet in me was very excited. Hey, that's a very interesting way to share it. So if I have to now take over and say what got me here, I think there are multiple tracks to that. So I love stories, and I love possibly sharing them, and in turn also I love listening to it. So it's a combination of actually being able to listen to stories and actually share stories, and that's what a podcast offers. So I said yes to Sathish, and my conversation was Sathish saying, if you're doing something interesting, I mean, that's about it. And I know you're very professional. You have the right thought process in, and I said just yes. So me being here is saying yes to a lot of very interesting opportunities that life has said, that life has given me, and I said yes to some of those. And that's one of those simple answers to say storytelling, saying yes to a lot of very interesting things, and listening to people share very interesting stuff. So it sort of opens up an entire new avenue, but also to a very interesting set of events in terms of who you meet, how they actually impact you. A chance meeting to set up one of my communities around coaching. Then I got to meet Sathish. Then we had a chat, and then we did a podcast together. We peer podcasted. Then we've been in touch ever since. And then when he said the idea, yes, let's do it. So that's another thread to come to it. But even to get to even coaching, I think it's taken its own journey to come to coaching. And you will soon realize that I'm a chatty fellow. So make sure that I am not the anchor. at this point of time. But also it's about believing in what I believe is the best way forward to me to take it, even though the way forward is not the easiest. It's not mapped. It's an uncharted territory. So I am one of those guys who actually found out what coaching is only after I quit my corporate world, said yes to coaching, paid my fees to a coaching space, and then session one, hour one, I realized, oh shit, whatever I wanted to do as coaching or whatever I thought was coaching was not coaching. But yet I fell in love with coaching. It was falling in love at first coaching session, not at first sight. So it was first coaching session. That's also another thread to this answer, and there are multiple threads. And maybe just a quick question before I go on to deeper aspects of who we are. And the idea with which we also bring the first few introduction of the coaches is to bring our journeys forward in the most authentic way possible. But I have a challenge or a very interesting space. So if you had to explain to an absolute layman or a 10-year-old kid what coaching is, how would you explain it? Again, it's open. Anybody who raises the hand gets a chance to say yes.
Yeah, I'll probably start with a funny explanation of what coaching is, not the book definition. It's probably getting to realize something about you while you don't realize that you're actually realizing something.
Oh, that was inception level coaching.
Uh, I think it just, it talks about, we that's the objective, right? Is in terms of, and that's how we approach it. So we poke that awareness amongst people, and that's what we try and do. And staying away from giving advice or giving any kind of action to them. So, but we need to do it
Absolutely.
without them realizing it. So the aha moments come, but
Good.
the process needs to be very subtle.
The aha moments, the pursuit of aha moments. Sathish, Bianca, anything you want to add to that? You can't say it's a conversation with yourself, like what Pushkar said. So you will have to do one up better.
Yeah. Yeah, I have an intriguing thought process around coaching here. For me, coaching always equals it's a form of meditation.
Hmm.
I'm a very big fan of meditation, and when I was stuck, meditation is the practice that helped me. My mentor just told me to sit idle every single morning for 15 minutes, and you don't even have to observe your breath. You don't even have to watch or look at something. Just sit and observe your thoughts, and if it's disturbing, it's okay. If it's peaceful, it's okay. And nothing is happening, it's okay. You have no thoughts, it's okay. Just sit idle. And that's the powerful practice that I started like 4 5 years back. And a lot of the problems that we see in the today's world is because people get anxious about various things. Lots of problems that run in one's mind, they don't process it. Meditation is a form of processing the troubles and the problems that you're facing in your mind. And every single day you do it, and you get to a state where your mental inbox is almost zero, and you can walk with so much calmness, so much peace, and the life is easy to live. And I see a similar pattern in coaching. When coach is asking questions and they're just reflecting what you think, you just get into a deep meditative mode, and you figure out answers for yourself. And that's why I say coaching is also a process of meditation that is helping the world, and that is helping people to live better quality lives.
Hmm. Interesting. Coaching is like meditation. So Bianca, over to you. So what do you think? Something around knives,
Me,
something around yoga.
for me, coaching is convincing people to buy a set of knives when you don't even have them yourself. No, just kidding.
That's a good one.
Um, I think today, as of today, for me, coaching is deep listening. And that requires listening to everything, not just what's being said. And I think it also requires a process of reflection. So when you come to a coaching session, I feel that you are sitting in front of a mirror, and the mirror is there to receive you and to also show you a reality of yourself that you may not necessarily see when you're walking around, but when you choose to sit down in front of the mirror, you're able to see something that may illuminate an aspect of yourself or your life that may serve you to uncover your own innate wisdom. So I think that's what it means to me as of now.
Oh, wow. And you ended up with as of now, like a true coach. This is what I'm feeling in the present. I don't know what I felt in the past, what I will feel in the future.
Sunil, for what
That's
about you?
Oh yeah, I think for me, I have a very, very interesting definition. So one of the first exercises my coach trainer asked all of us to do in our first cohort is to try and explain it to a 10-year-old kid. I did take a little bit of time. The creative genie in me was very active. So I said, coaching basically is like a treasure hunt, right? So X marks the spot. So that's where you actually always get to. And you know where you're starting, and I will possibly sit alongside as you figure out all the clues. And basically, you will need to figure out a list of clues to get to the destination, and that's the number of sessions that we have. And with each session, you're unfurling something and actually getting to the next clue. And I help you basically solve the clue when you're stuck. So that's the simplest way I could find how I could explain it to a 10-year-old kid or anybody with zero background of what active listening is, what possibly is meditation and all that. So even listening to ourselves. So this is the simplest definition. And what I did was I actually wrote a blog about it so that I don't have to explain it again and again. And whoever asks me, what are you doing as a coach? Are you teaching cricket? Are you teaching football? Are you, helping do X, Y, Z? About all of those things that coaches come as a nomenclature. Do you teach yoga? Do you do hypnotherapy? Whatnot? I think very interesting set of questions that I've been asked. I just send them this particular blog that I've written and say, you know what, this is it. Figure it out, and if you find it interesting, let me take you on a journey with helping you solve some of these places, some of these treasure hunts yourself, and that's how the coaching begins. So that's a very easy way to have somebody come up to you and say, I want to learn what coaching is. So enough mystery, enough explained.
It's brilliant, Sunil. I think the analogy is fantastic and it's very simple for us to. I might steal it. So I know we are being recorded, so I'm taking your permission on a recorded conversation.
Yes. Feel free to share it with all of those. I think the idea for all of us is to make sure that coaching and the impact that coaching does is able to reach more people. And I, for one, have been fed up of getting advices when I don't want advice from people. So I think that's also a reason. That's also a thread saying what got me here is to actually give people that space, saying there's something magical called coaching. And if you access it at the right time in your life, it can transform your life in a much, much faster, far more fascinating way, and far more long-term consequences because of that. We work with the root cause of certain aspects, not necessarily the symptomatic aspects of it. So yeah, so maybe just because I love to mix things up, I want possibly Bianca to ask us a question.
Okay. How would you describe your relationship to your body?
I think that's evolved over time in terms of my relationship with my body. I think the first aspects of that reflection was wow, right? So I also asked these kids that I actually volunteer at multiple government schools in Bangalore. So we have two hands, we have two legs, two eyes, 2 ears. but we still say we have only one nose and ask them why. And those kids are, everybody has one nose, even I have one nose, right? So I love teasing them with that. And when they really pester me for an answer, I have a very single line saying, I don't know. And most of our relationship with our body for a very long time, even with myself, was I don't know what my body is. But the moment I started to even think about it, one of those aspects that came to me was, wow, like we have so many bones. I think in our schools we studied 206 bones. We have 32 teeth, and there's absolutely a list of things here. And if you ask doctors, they'll keep telling you how it works. And if you just sit for once, it's actually a miracle in motion, right? So uh, just sitting with your body for once and just observing how that entire blood flow works. There's a heart, there's a kidney, there's a liver, there are eyes, there's a brain, and all of it is in complete synchronicity with each other. And the moment I came across that thought, even I right now still have goosebumps, right? So that's the kind of aspect that came to me, and automatically with that also came a little bit of respect for this particular miracle that has come across, and that has been the journey with my body. I love to listen to it, specifically when it's hungry, and I also now listen to it after being aware of what coaching is in terms of what emotions is it telling me. And I've come to understand the wisdom of the body as and when I've become more into the aspect of coaching. Come to see what my body is saying to me, that wisdom that it offers, and years and years and years of evolution that it has taken for us to get here. That's how I'd answer it.
Wow. I have a question for you, Sunil. There, if you listen to this spiritual guru Sadhguru in
Mm-hmm.
India, he talks about, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not even the thoughts, and all these things. So, do you as a person see your body as a different entity than yourself?
I don't think so, right? So again, the pinch of salt that you have to take specifically when you're discussing philosophy is there are multiple layers to each philosophy, right? So I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. Possibly is again how we look at ourselves as identities. Because whenever we see, if somebody calls my name and I say hi, I'm not saying that my hand is raised. So Sunil's hand is raised is not what I'm saying. I am saying Sunil
Hmm.
is raising the hand. So it's as
Right.
part it's a part of my identity. When I'm putting a vote, I'm basically pressing my thumb there and saying I voted. So there's no distinction. But if you're looking at, say, philosophy, there are layers to philosophy. Uh, yeah, I think the I that I am is possibly a result of multiple universes, coming together. And also, if you look at it, solid, liquid, and gas. If you look at it, there's protons, the nucleus, there's nothing inside, and all of that somehow in weird combination comes up and says, there's Sunil's nose, Sunil's eyes, Sunil's ears, and all of them are functional at some point of time in Sunil's entire lifetime as a person, and then it goes up. So I'm still not that, but I'm still that. So somewhere I'm a carrier of something, and I think also Sadhguru also says you are what you eat, because all of these bananas, that this whatever that you're taking in, the magic, the miracle that we are, the miracle that life is, that we're able to put different layers of fat and different layers of protein, muscle, and underbody. So, which is a moving miracle in itself. So, I'd like to answer that philosophy with a little more simpler philosophy, that there are multiple layers to each of that, and to a certain extent, we are not our body, because body is not our only identity; it's part of one part of our identity. And also beyond our body, we also exist, because if we still remember Kalidasa, we still remember Shakespeare, we still remember Gandhi, we still remember Adolf, we still remember, a lot of people who've made a difference in lives of us. We remember our ancestors. In India, and I think all across southern, Southeast Asian countries, we have those rituals of remembering our past. So that way we are a continuum in multiple spaces. So I don't know if I answered your question or didn't answer your question. So I leave it at that.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I mean, we are, we just have the one body. We cannot hire somebody else's body. I cannot come and jump into Sunil's body and live my life. So the our body is only the vehicle that carries us. So we need to take care of the body. Very interesting thing about the body is when I started the journey of personal development like 4 5 years back. I used to listen to Tony Robbins a lot. So Tony Robbins is literally my guru in personal development. And first thing that he says is, if anybody you find they're stuck, just ask them to move the body. The body, uh, you just go out, go for a run, or go for a cycle, or play a sport. Move the body. That the body will move, and then it will instruct the mind, to become more calm, more peaceful. And that's the starting point for any journey towards transformation or development. So the body is the place that where you can start. Anybody can start from tomorrow.
And yeah, maybe to just steal a little bit of time again. So Bianca, so knowing yoga and starting yoga, this thing, so I am also discovering different muscles and different parts of my body that I didn't know existed because of the exercises, and where all it starts to then pain, saying, oh, there's something there.
Love that.
So, Sunil and Satish, before I kind of express what I feel about what Bianca is asking us, do you both watch a lot of US legal serials like, the Suits or Boston Legal?
Yes.
You do? And Satish, how about you?
I remember the last legal one that I watched from US is A Few Good Men from
Okay.
Tom
Beautiful.
All right.
Hanks. Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
when I say this, probably you can relate that Bianca, I was planning to take the fifth to your question.
You're allowed.
Yeah, am I? Okay. No, but no. Jokes apart. So I think what is the relation? So I think for me it is a parallel journey we are on, right? We coexist with each other. We don't see eye to eye all the time. I tend to focus more on the what I call is the engine of my body in terms of my habits, eating habits, and everything, rather than the external, the way the car is painted or the design and everything. Yeah, so it's been a very love and hate relationship for me. Sometimes there is a lot of attention to it. Sometimes it's totally neglected. But I think it is a driving force. And so actually, between what Sunil and Satish said, they kind of stole away some of the key words that I had thought of when I heard the question. But I think the body is probably what I would define it as. It's a carrier that we are kind of going across in and leaving a legacy behind, which is then outside of that. Simply put, that's what it probably means to me.
Yes, Bianca, how do you answer your own question?
Well, thank you, each of you, for sharing your perspective. It's so interesting to me to hear how everyone relates to their body. I believe that my body is my home in this lifetime. It's the one thing that I can literally never get out of. I'm always in it, I'm always with it. And I think my answer to the question is more about the reason why I asked it, because I realized, like, you would think that a woman who's grown up dancing from the age of 5 would have such a deep relationship with her body. But all the dancing I did actually disconnected me more from my body, because I learned to treat my body as this thing that I could control, and this thing that I could tell it what to do and make it do amazing things. And I did. I competed at a very high level in dance, and I performed and toured professionally. I created choreography. I was really doing a lot. But now that I know what I know, after, going through a degree in neuroscience and becoming a stress management coach, I'm just like, my body was really screaming at me the whole time with so many different messages that it really wanted me to hear. So I feel that my relationship with my body has grown in depth tremendously over the last, I would say, 2 years for sure, but probably over the last 10 years, since I had a pretty nearly career-ending injury, but I forced myself to, go through it and go dance again. And I think that my relationship to my body now is learning to tend to my home, to turn the lights on in the rooms and see what's there, and to clean the house and to put the dishes away and fold the laundry and, do the things that my body requires and attend to the things that my body is asking me for in order to honor this, as you said, Sunil, this miracle creation that I've been blessed with. So,
Absolutely, yeah. So I also sense, the philosopher is already switched on, first thing in the morning from America. So I see a lot of very intense, very dense thoughts from you in terms of this. In seeing it as home, I think that, when you said home, I was like, oh, we are all, like that crabs that carry their homes all across and have a very interesting experiences, tortoises for that matter. So maybe because of this, weird off track that we went on. So if you were to describe yourself as an animal, a spirit animal, what would that look like? So we start with possibly Bianca and then go the rest.
this is not an easy question.
That's what coaches do. They ask powerful questions.
This
Hey,
is
Sunil,
not
I
an
thought
easy
Satish, I thought this was a coaching podcast.
Okay, I'm just gonna go. My favorite animal has always been a horse, and I just feel like there's a reason for that. I find them to be so regal and present and elegant, patient, and kind. And I would like to think that some of those things apply to me too. So I'm just gonna go with horse.
Wow. So, Pushkar, you were saying, how is this coaching podcast? So now, with one single question, I got 5 values that Bianca subscribes.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, over to Satish, Pushkar. So, you want to answer? I already know my answer, so that's why I asked the question, which I know the answer for.
Yeah, if I were to imagine myself as an animal, I'm an animal myself, uh, but a different breed. But then growing up, I always spent a lot of time with cows because I grew up in a farm in South India. So I was a cowboy myself. I used to take cows for grazing and, spent a lot of time with them. And I even drank milk from the cows directly, like a calf would do, right? So I did that. So for me, particularly for people from South India, for Hindus, cow is something very, very divine, and it's almost like our family member. And when they go away, we feel like we are losing a family member. And the cows are something that gives us the food. There are many agriculture farmers in South India. They use uh, the cows for the livelihood. When there is severe drought and there is nothing happening in the farming and nothing happening in the agriculture, they just have two cows and they run the entire family. And that's something very, very powerful. It is the cow is giving the selfless service to the humanity. So I want to be able to do that, and I want to offer my selfless service to the humanity. That's why I relate it so much.
Wow, interesting. Pushkar, what about you?
Tough one. So I never thought of this before, but but you got my brain racing. So, I will probably go with an elephant. And why I would say that is one, I think it's the regal, majestic size and presence of that elephant. We say that we need to be present everywhere, so at all times, completely. So I think it's the aura, when you see an elephant walking in, you stop and you stare and you respect that. I think even more than that, I think it's the calm nature. When you're not provoking, you're entirely calm. You move along in tribes mostly, so it's always a herd of elephants. So I think that's where I value the people connect I was speaking about earlier. That I drive that energy from people. Bring a lot of value, and there are days when we are burdened with things we don't like to do, but we still do it. And I'm referring to elephant rides or the even the temple rides that people do. But we also do it so majestically that even while doing those, people will respect us and look at us. So that's probably the parallel I could draw in this very out of the box question of yours, Sunil.
Yes. Now that's a very interesting question. So sometime I was part of an organization where one of these things was to be a mentor, and they had like very different many questions. And in one of those closure ceremonies, and when people are introducing themselves, this was one of those questions that was asked there, saying, "What's your spirit animal?" And for me, there was I think no need to ask again. So I said it's a baby elephant. So that kind of exuberance there is, and to be almost at a space where you're born ready, and so mischievous, being in a part of like you said, Pushkar, a part of a herd, part of a bigger community. I think that joyfulness to life there is. I think that is what makes it interesting for me. And I love my food. I love a big time foodie. So all of these just basically said, yeah, you know what, this is my spirit animal. And yeah, I have a penchant for asking questions out of the blue that actually suddenly jar all of your logic, suddenly says, oh, you know what, this is an interesting question.
Yeah.
And yeah, we also put it around, say how it is back to coaching is that we ask questions and questions give answers, and I will not give you answers, so you will find your own answers in this space. So that's also a tagline for all of us who are not coaches, who are looking at this episode and trying to figure out what the hell is happening here. It's that questions offer and often trigger certain perspectives with us, and we over our monotonous routine life may not get a time to even sit with our own self to ask questions that we need answers for. And sometimes we don't even know that there are questions we need answers for, and
Yeah.
that's the kind of rat race or whatever that you like to call it that we're running.
Yeah, Sunil, I have a thought here. I guess we all try to run away from problems, and we don't want to face that. That the questions that are asked by our own mind, and we don't want to answer those questions, and that's why we resort to, mobile phones, television, and other avenues of entertainment. So, if you keep yourself busy with something else, then you don't have to face yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The hardest taskmaster is you.
And I think Satish is more of not even realizing that we have the answers within us. Forget the questions. And so questions are the hard part, but even after probably, you maybe through meditation or some introspection, you ask the questions, and it's most surprising and rewarding when you find out that the answers are within us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you look at any problem, the solution is hidden in the problem itself. People always want to solve problems, but they look for solutions elsewhere. But the solutions are very much hidden in the problem itself. So go deep into the problem, and you will find the solution.
So I'm just going to chip in with something very interesting, and sorry, I like to take a moment. When you said that, when the solution is in the problem itself, it reminded me of last Saturday when I took the ICF credentials exam. Oh my God, the solution was in the problem itself. But so just a little anecdote.
Sure.
And I completely second this. I cleared the exam twice in the same year. So ACC in May, PCC in November. And after that, the flurry of conversations that have happened, my
Absolutely.
standard space that I tell people is it's the easiest exam there is, because there are four options. Out of that,
Yeah.
there are no other options that you have to look for. There are four options. Out of that, two, you choose the best one, choose the worst one. Most of the majority of the hard work is already done by the system itself. All you have to do is choose.
That's
Just
debatable,
to
Sunil, but we'll have a separate podcast episode on that.
Yeah. Just to give context to the listeners here, the ACC means Associate Certified Coach and PCC means Professional Certified Coach. And these are all the certificates offered by International Coaching Federation, where most of us are members. Yeah.
Yes. So Bianca, you seem to be lost in thought. So tell us,
Just
if there's a
enjoying,
penny for your thoughts, I'd be very rich. So
just enjoying the conversation, just listening to the wisdom. And I'm really excited for who's going to get to receive this. I know that, as we've mentioned, like some people might be wondering, well, what the heck is the point of this episode, right? But as we've spoken about in conversations that we've all had outside of this moment, coaching requires building trust and relatability. And so I just want to put out there that I think it's important for you all who are listening or watching that you do get to know us. You know, it's nice
True.
to know that, you know, Pushkar would be an elephant if he was a spirit animal, right? It's nice to know that, you know, that I sold knives when I was 17. You know, it's nice to know these silly things. It's nice to know that Sathish was inspired by his mentor, who's an older man that I know you all wanted to come back to. So we might bring him back into the conversation.
Yeah.
And it's nice to hear the questions that Sunil comes up with, right? Who thinks to ask a person, if you could be an animal, what would you be? So I think there's these little things that you're getting from each one of us as we choose to show up here and share ourselves with you that will hopefully help you to feel connected. Because I think that's also a part of what coaching requires. And it requires it, but it also produces it. And when you feel connected to somebody, I think then you open up the doors to feel willing to connect more with yourself. So I think that's what's landing for me right now, what I'm feeling just from all of this.
Very well put, Bianca.
absolutely, absolutely. And how do you identify a coach is pretty simple. They will actually end with, "That's how I'm feeling right now." So if anybody is talking to you and at some point they say, "That's how I'm feeling right now," that's the indication for you that, hey, they've been coach trained or they're a coach. That's what's landing, that's what's opening up, that's what I feel in the present, because that's a fantastic feeling, isn't it? So to be in the present, to actually have a spectator view of what's actually happening with my own body. So I think maybe, Satish, I am not my body because I can also go outside my body and see a spectator awareness of what's exactly happening. So there are multiple layers of my own identity. And Bianca also brought up the topic of what we started in terms of, who we are, right? So again, open question: who are you? And yeah, the floor is yours for anybody who wants to take that up. I have a very long answer and also a very short answer. So you choose. When do you get to tag me?
So lead the way,
Pushkar.
Sunil. What do you say? Lead the way.
Yeah. I would, as a good host, go last.
Yeah. Very, very, very interesting question. Who are you? That brings me to the question, who am I?
Ramana Maharshi.
Yeah, at the moment, to explain it to the world, we all go through our lives through this body, and we all in this, our life is a single player game. Though we are connected with many individuals, we have relationships, we have families, and we have friends, and we have so many people in the world, but we all have to go through our life as single player games. And the moment we are born, we see this world, and the moment that we leave this world, and the world is gone for us. So we don't know where we came from, and we don't know where we are going to. But then in the middle, in whatever short possible time that we have, we try to make a difference here. And we have named this podcast as Changepreneurs. Changepreneurs came from Changemakers plus Solopreneurs. All of us, all 12 of us, come from different backgrounds, different religions, different geographies. Yet we are here together, united, to bring and drive very powerful, positive change to change the world, to make it a better place. So, who am I in this? I'm just an individual human being. I come from a very, very small village in rural South India, and it amazes me to realize the fact that I'm able to talk to somebody from some other part of the world, and I still don't understand this feeling, and I'm trying to process many thoughts for myself, and I'm trying to ask many questions for myself. In this journey, we are all in this journey of getting to become better versions of ourselves, and this process of interacting with individuals from different backgrounds gives me perspectives, and we try to look at situations and look at problems through our own lenses, and to understand other people's perspectives, to to understand what the other person is thinking about. It's a blessing, and it's a privilege to be doing this, and I feel humbled, I feel honored, I feel privileged to be able to bring out these conversations to the public. We're presenting our authentic selves to you, and there is nothing to hide. Many people get into problems because they try to hide something, right? And, that's the starting point of problems, and they try to hide, and the mental baggage builds up, and all of a sudden you're anxious, you're burnt out, and you're stressed out, and you you want to figure out how to go about living this life. And I've seen many people who are living, I'm not judging, but many people are living miserable lives, and vast majority of people, they don't have good quality of lives. They do have the wealth, they do have the money, they do have people in their lives, but then there are many things that they don't process. So what I would say is, start processing what you're going through, one thought at a time. Maybe just start with a 5-minute meditation every single day. Just sit by yourself. All the problems will vanish if you're able to sit by yourself and process your thoughts. And this is a terrific opportunity for us to impact the world in a positive way. So we've all come together here, and that's pretty much where I am right now. I'm not sure if it made sense, but that is what I had. Thanks.
So, like I told you, this is where I am. That's the true definition of a coach. So they're always yeah. So if you want to know more, I think you can also follow the previous episodes of this podcast, where Sathish has brought different people, different personas, and also follow our podcast, where I've had Satish on the show, and he shared very interesting stories. I think I always remember Satish with a story around the shoes, which
Right.
possibly will come back on any other episode, or you can also take that up right now if you feel that that's a space, you want to entertain us with a story. But otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, I'll let Pushkar and Bianca answer your question. Then if we have the time, then we'll do that.
Yes, Pushkar, Bianca. So both
All
of you
right.
are sitting
No.
reflectively.
Okay, so I was just waiting for Bianca to say something, but which is fine. So, who am I? I am Sunil, I am Satish, I am Bianca. I am the same person. I think, I think what's different is what my experiences have been, how I react to different situations. But end of the day, I think Satish mentioned it, right? We're just getting from one point to another. So that's my true belief, right? We are the same person, but we look different, we react differently because of we've had different experiences as we have grown up. It's always what define us. On and also, we kind of say, right? What are your strengths? What are your values? What are your beliefs? These are all our internal elements that people don't see on a daily basis, and only 20% of who we really are is seen by everybody. So I think realization of that 80%, that the elements are there within everybody, what those elements mean and what they translate to, the top 20%, or what the world sees, or how we react or how we behave outside, is what makes a difference and what makes us different from each other. Reality, we are the same. So I probably don't have a response tying it up with meditation or spirituality or anything. I think it's just about being the person you are. You have your experiences, you will react in a particular way. So accept that others will also do the same, which is most important. And as don't judge. You need to have a very unbiased opinion when you're interacting with people. So that's probably what defines who I am as a person and what I believe in.
So interesting. You bring beliefs. You're all the same, possibly different combinations of beliefs, structures, thoughts, emotions, experiences. Absolutely, and all of us know as coaches, and all answers is right. All answers are right.
Yeah.
There are no wrong answers, and whatever our answers we work for, or we subscribe to, those we share. Yes, Bianca. Maybe if you can start. Otherwise, I will also parallelly take on something and say, because Pushkar said 80% of what we are, or 20% of what we are, is what we share. And in that 20%, if you're saying, we are all the same, we are possibly universe dust with consciousness that moves around in and around here, that even in a lifetime there are so many memories that somehow weirdly gets concocted in our heads, stays for some time, makes our decisions, and suddenly poof, it's gone. So it's also a moving miracle in
Yeah.
its own space. Yeah.
We're answering all the big questions today. These are all the big questions. What animal, spirit animal would you be? Very big question. This one, not as big. Who am I? I'm a woman, and that's really important to me. I feel that there's a reason for that I'm a woman in this life. And I think a large part of who I am is seeking to honor the design of being a woman and the creational power that I have, the capacity that I have to create life, and to do that in a way that honors truth and allows me to nourish and nurture whatever I am blessed to receive. Yeah.
Let that sink in for a moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just practicing presence. It's fascinating, right? So she said, she paused. That's a very interesting question. And she said, "I'm a woman, and that's important for me." This is almost like coaching in motion. Is actually coaching that's happening alongside the podcast, and we're listening to so many facets of each other, and also for us, we don't know some of these. Even with, say, what's happening with Sathish, Pushkar. I haven't met Sathish at all. Like in person, I've never met him. Pushkar the same. Bianca is two conversations old, right? So, and when we are opening up our innermost thoughts with strangers, and that's also what coaching uh, gives us, that safe space that we so strongly crave for, to fully express ourselves and to whatever answers that come our way, and say that's the blessing that's coming our way, right? And I told you that I love talking, and I have a very long answer to who am I. And whenever this comes along, I usually, so on all of our chemistry calls is the first time you're talking to a client. The client asks me who you are, or would you like to give an introduction. My introduction is usually around 10 minutes, right? So I want to share a lot of my life, so that I am able to sort of build that rapport with that person and share it. So if I have to give a very small, simple answer, I am basically a bundle of joyous energy. That's how I describe myself, very singly in one. That's a short, 1 mark answer, right? So, but 100-mark answer would be something else. In terms of if I have to look at how I describe myself, possibly in the human being aspect of it, I am a joyful energy. That's how I put it. But in terms of the aspects that I do, I love so many things to do. I always have something or the other that I have on my list of things to be and to do. I, love to write, and when I write, I am connected to the sources of the universe, the energies of the universe, and universe basically flows through me when I switch on the writing avatar. I've possibly had the pleasure of switching that on for more than 7,000 times, and I've penned poems have flowed through me and basically have reached audiences. And like I said, I love storytelling, I love story writing, I love listening. I'm madly passionate about enabling change and making an impact. I have a history of working with many government schools, colleges, and I run with a very simple philosophy that spreading happiness is a very simple choice. And somehow coaching also allows me to spread happiness, to ask people questions and get paid for it. So very interesting, right? So you get to a profession where you ask questions and people pay you money for it. So I never knew that we could get paid for it. And if I'd known that earlier, I'd have said, "Yo, fantastic! I'm jumping into coaching as soon as possible." And yeah, a lot of very interesting experiences have flown through me as I've navigated life. So I lost my father at a very young age, and it sort of also experienced life experience actually took on a very different turn. A lot of people who I never ever have met in my life have helped me become who I am through scholarships, through random acts of kindness, and I tried my way to just give it back to society in whatever way I can, in being that spark of joy for people to essentially make them feel, make them smile, make them laugh, and possibly at times through my poems and my stand-up comedy make them cry, saying, "When is Sunil going to stop?" So that's in say possibly 2% of the answer in terms of a 100% kind of a question. But I will pass because this is a 4% podcast, not a monologue. And if you're pausing, it's
And
an
just kind of
invitation to need more.
no, Sunil, we're just kind of processing this. So yeah, I think
Yep.
Bianca and your response were, in the corporate world, we used to have a terminology and maybe a very bad analogy here, but it was called death by PPT. So there's a lot of information that one needed to process once given. So
Right.
I think that's what's happening right now. So hence that silence.
We were in flow state
I
for
know, I
for
know.
most of the
Yeah.
time, and we are in different places, but we feel so much connected to each other, right? And that's a good feeling. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I don't know when Pushkar said it's death by PPT,
It's a very
did it?
positive connotation.
Uh,
Absolutely. I mean, I know it was a wrong analogy, but it was more about me relating it to getting a lot of information. But here, the only difference was it was very positive and deep, which made us get into that thinking mode.
And yeah, for possibly listeners and viewers, these kind of silences are very common in coaching,
Yeah.
and a lot of lovely things happen in silence. Like Sathish was saying, the meditation space, the aspect of even growth, right? So even growth, because we've also said change. Sometimes change is instant, and sometimes change takes its own sweet time. And sometimes we're like, when is it going to happen? When is it going to manifest that space? So we live in between those two. Change is instant, and change takes its own sweet time. So, Satish, I think we also, had that one space where your 85-year-old mentor sort of triggered it up, and this is the first episode of the Change from us podcast. Uh, any special thanks or any special message you have for him? I know it's a little deviation, but yeah, it's
Yep.
okay.
As I already shared with you folks that my life was in a complete mess, about 5-6 years back. I had this full-time job, and it was almost 70 plus 80 hours in a week that I had to work, and beyond that, I had to be at as I worked for the bank. I had to be at service almost 24/7. And this mentor, who was then 79 years old, he came as a customer to the bank. And I thought something was completely different about this guy, unlike other human beings that you see on the street, right? So he was completely different. Whenever he would walk into the branch that I was working, he would bring a smile to everyone that he met. Whether it's the just the lower level employee, or he would meet everyone. So there is certain calmness, certain aura around his face that I could observe. So I wanted to be like him. And I asked him one day curiously about how I can get to your level of being human. And then I spent so much time with him, and he taught me this meditation practice. And he just put me on a simple WhatsApp group called Daily Inspiration. And he was sending everyday messages, and he was following up with us if we were doing the practice every single day. And over a period of time, I did many number of days, and I meditated. I did the journaling. And I used to be a voracious reader when I was at college, and that's how I picked up English. But then I lost my reading habit somewhere during my corporate time. Then I picked up the reading habits again because of him. Then I read books, and I started listening to a podcast. I didn't even know what a podcast was until January 2020. I bought an iPhone. Then I looked at the podcast. Then, and one thing led to the another. I listened to various podcasts. I read books. I attended so many webinars. And then, if I just look back at the last 5 years as to what happened to me, I haven't perfectly arrived at a place, but then I see this transformation that has happened in me compared to how I was earlier. Now that I'm more kind, I'm a more loving husband to my wife, and I treat my children very well. And I do this stranger talking. Whenever I go for a walk, I meet this stranger person. I talk to them, and I try to be different. I was always different growing up, but then this version of me that I'm seeing right now, I'm completely falling in love with who I am right now. Being able to connect with folks across the world, and you know to be to be a part of this movement where we are kind of bringing people together, and doing this podcast. So this, if I just look back and connect the dots, this person, this mentor, not only did he change my life, like me, he had 100 groups, 100 persons in that daily inspiration group, and everyone went on to become something, and everyone is acting as his agents to change the world. And my contribution towards the world is, I started one podcast, and now I'm bringing more people, and now 12 of us, we'll go out, and we'll touch more lives, and we'll reach out to more people, and create this powerful movement in podcasting history, particularly from India. If you look at the conventional type of podcast, it's just one-on-one, one person interviewing one more person. Here we are coming together, bringing some interesting stories, and we are trying to bring some special guests to our episodes, and we will kind of leverage the connections that we all have, and take this forward as a movement in podcasting history. And I have a huge vision for our podcast. My personal development story started with Tony Robbins, and motivational speakers like Les Brown and Jim Rohn. So 5 years down the line, maybe 500 episodes later or 1,000 episodes later, I want to bring Tony Robbins onto the show. And that's really possible. We can make it possible. We have what it takes to do that. Thank you very much, Sunil, and the other listeners, and Bianca, for being a part of this and saying yes to this movement. I'm really, really privileged. Sunil, if there is anything more that we can cover, or we can wind it up.
I think that you'll have to ask the powers of the universe. So I am very hungry. So so
Hungry for more information, more wisdom.
hungry for more wisdom, hungry for more stories, more interesting. This thing we get to come back to knives and dancing, and because there are so many things, those little nuances that you catch as a coach. Sometimes you cannot let it go. So very very interesting stuff that we brought up. But like I said, there are 500 episodes, there are 1,000 episodes. Possibly Tony Robbins is you're going to be on Tony Robbins show, and possibly he's going to be on our show. You never know, and it's a great aspect to even look at the power of possibilities. So even if you're looking at it, you said 12 people, possibly 12 Avengers. I don't know if there are 12 Avengers, but 12 people coming in from different parts of the world, different experiences, different thought process. Some with kids, some without kids, some with two, and some with done with one. Like so many such varied experiences, varied aspects, and talking about something about change, something about podcasting. I think we've arrived at that space where the audience is going to look at saying, what is the next question? Uh, but I would like to, just check in with you, and maybe for a one single liner that says, what are you learning about yourself in this? I know it's a coaching question typically, but it's a beautiful question. So what are you learning about yourself as we bring this episode to a close?
The learning about myself in this call is, we all feel that we are individuals, but then we are connected in ways that we cannot even imagine. So if you just look at your phone, you have 1,000 contacts, and the each 1,000 contact will have 1,000 contacts each. That puts us in just 2% away from a million people, and 3% away from a billion people. So we are connected. We are all individual entities, but then we are connected in a very very different way. And I see the power of connection here in this call. When one person tries to do something, he cannot do magic, or he cannot do miracles. But when people come together, it's a powerful force. And I feel that force right now in this virtual room that we are in. So let's make use of this force, this universal force that's given to us, and let's transform lives one at a time. Thank you, Sunil, for that question.
Wow.
One line. What am I learning about myself? That I'm a horse. Maybe I am. I think I'm learning that I can allow myself to discover my own wisdom in real time. And I trust that if that's what I have the capacity to do, then we must all have that capacity as well.
Beautiful.
So Sunil, for me, it takes me back to my college, right? So as a very, what do I say? I'm trying to find a nice, polite, politically correct word for this, but I was involved with a lot of activities in college, and we had a tagline which kind of tells me what I'm learning today also. So it's not a new learning, but it's kind of a, the hidden 80% of our learning coming out, below us. So the tagline was, together we make it happen.
Beautiful.
So I think that's what I'm learning today. So would I have thought of doing a podcast on my own? No, never. But I think this is beautiful. This is the power of us working.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, I think what I learn or what I take away is that those pauses in between that make us really sit and say, what was that question again? And that pause that comes allows us to think. And I think for me that importance of that pause is something that I take away. And also on a lighter note, it is definitely possible to run a 90-minute podcast without a script, right? So that's a possibility.
You're not referring to the animal spirit, right?
No, I don't know what spirits we're referring to. For Bianca, morning, and for us, it's almost at the end of the night. So all spirits are
Yeah,
welcome.
absolutely.
Yes. So yeah, and to more podcasts, to more people, to more stories, and to more triggers, from people like Sathish and more seekers like the 12 of us to jump in on this possibility and say we are changepreneurs, and we'll bring you more podcasts. So yeah, and if you've enjoyed this episode, please do share it with all of us, all of your friends. Like Satish said, sharing it with thousands will actually make a difference. And you never know at what point who needs this podcast. So it may be that you need it, your neighbor needs it, your husband needs it, your wife needs it. Uh, so just share it and let the powers of the universe have its way around. And with that, we close this episode 1 of this fantastic podcast.
So thank you to all of you, and thank you to all the listeners and viewers also.
Yeah, appreciate your time. I know it's a longish podcast. Thanks for your patience and listening throughout. Wish you all an amazing day and week. Good luck. Thanks, Bianca, Pushkar, Sunil. It's amazing.
Bye bye.